missed some big players over the last month. Chongi, obviously our blaster, first day back today in training, which was great news for him. Great news for the players as well, because we know how important he is without putting too much pressure on him. Gus, he's out of his brace, so I think with his profile and the situation that he's had before, that maybe that's not the case, and that's not achievable. But raising and nudging up everybody's levels is something that we've talked about. I talked about it with the sports science staff and the medical staff in the week. The problem you have and the challenge you have is you're doing it through a season and through games. So everybody's talking about recovery, match day -2, match day -1. I want them to run around on first team games and when it's really important. So trying to get that balance and trying to raise those levels is difficult. It's difficult for Sean Dyche. It's going to be difficult for me. But we're going now. We've identified that, and hopefully Tyrese will get the benefits of that, and we'll all get the benefits of that.
Listening back to the interview that we did after the match at Preston, the sort of takeaways from that, you were talking about, naivety and game management. So in between then and now, what's been done to sort of work on that with the players?
I had a similar thing going back when we were 3-0 up at Villa and the season we got promoted, and we had a discussion. We showed slides, we showed examples of seeing games out, because it's key, and we've had to touch on a lot of things in a short period of time. And I've got to say, I've been delighted with the players' attitudes, and they didn't cave. Their mentality wasn't soft. We have all sorts of things now that we can look into, in terms of probability of results. We were 44% likely to win that game, 22% draw, and the rest obviously in favour of Preston. So from that point of view, it shows that that we should have won the game, which is really disappointing, and how hard and difficult it is to win games of football in the Championship. From a momentum point of view, their momentum was the first 5 minutes, and the game management in the lead up to half time, and just after half time. So we have to look at that ourselves and what do we need to do better. And we've talked about it, and we've had a meeting regarding it and showed examples regarding it. And that game should have been done and dusted. I didn't think that the opposition were causing us any sort of problems at all. Tactically, they didn't do anything on us. And you go in at half-time 2-0, we all know, or possibly 3 as it should be, then the game has been put to bed. The environment, the atmosphere is completely different to the one that it was. We gave them a lift through our decision making and game management in the lead up to the 49th minute. Gave away a poor free kick just after it. I think we were really unfortunate with Jaff's own goal. We can look at ourselves and do better with the free kick that goes in, and we've lost a runner, got a free header on us, but it's still unfortunate that it comes off Jaff's knee, and I think we're a little bit unlucky in terms of the situation where Mark McGuinness clearly gets fouled. The boy is not just going to go hobbling around. He's a 6'4" big centre half, and if he was, I'd be having a word with him. He's out of position. He's absolutely trying his best to get back into position while he was carrying injury. So it was a clear foul to us and to me, but it wasn't to be. Mark tried to get back into position. He didn't. We should have dealt with the situation. All of a sudden, the game's turned around. But the really important part of that is, which I said afterwards, and I got questioned about the players' mentality. If the players' mentality was really poor, we get done 4, 5 and 6-2. We didn't have a chance apart from the one that was gifted to them, because we were chasing the game. All the stats, all the chances were created by us, and we should have got something out of the game. So the game is not about we should or thoughts, is actions. So we have to look at ourselves, and we believe we should have be on more points than what we are. The cold start reality of it is that we haven't picked up those points that we should have picked up, and we have to learn from the situation. We didn't get outplayed, we didn't get outfought, we didn't get outrun. We played some great football at times, we created some great chances. The stats are all there to see for everybody. Our mentality was spot on, so that can't be questioned. We didn't collapse, we didn't crumble, we didn't capitulate, and we went right to the end. And one of my biggest things is always the reaction of the supporters. And the reaction of the supporters was first class at the end. Are we all disappointed that we didn't get the result that we wanted? Yes. Are we all disappointed that we didn't get 9 points out of 9, which would have been a terrific week for us? Yes. Still be happy with 6. But we understand that it's a game that slipped through our fingers, and we can't afford or allow that to happen when that happens again, because we will be in that situation again.
When you came back, you were talking about the list of things to address, and some of that clearly was the mental side of it. Does that sort of last 10 minutes at Deepdale the other day suggest that the messages are getting through? Because in part earlier in the season, I think all Sheffield United fans have seen a team whose heads have dropped.
They had the white flag up. They're not having the white flag up now. They know that's not acceptable for me or the supporters. Full stop. All these messages would have been drip-fed into them pre-season, but I'm not going to go back on old things. They weren't from me. There wasn't that opportunity to do it, so we have to cram it in. The team's in a decent place. I think people recognise that. I think the support that we're getting, I think people are seeing that. We're creating chances. We don't want to lose games, of course. We don't want to chuck points away, but we went to a side that's in the top 6. And we should have come away with 3 points, and everybody understands that, apart from maybe a few over in the northwest. But that's how it is. We have to take our medicine and move on. But we're okay as long as we learn from it, and the players are listening. The fitness levels are getting better. All the metrics that we base our game on a positive aspect are in the top 10. Now I want them to get into the top 6. On the metrics side of it, but still, me being me, us being us as a football club, the biggest thing is winning games of football, and we're disappointed that we didn't win it. Derby
County then, next up. How do you rate them at the minute and their season to date?
I always enjoy the games against Derby County. It's got obviously the local derby is the local derby, and there was one last season that was a county derby, but I always think this is a really edgy game and a tough game, and a game that I really enjoy. We always fell out at their place, they always fell out at our place. I think it's a big club. I think you see the size of these clubs in the Championship. One of the first games when we got back into the Championship was against Derby County. I think we remember winning 2-0, and Sharpie scored from the halfway line and own goal first half, and it was a great game, one of the games of the season early on in the season, and they were a team that was always trying to get out of the division, always in the playoffs. I think that I don't know if they lost in the playoff final that season or whatever, or the season before, but they're a big club in the division. So I think they've realised how hard it's been as well, having to drop out of the division and then come back. Obviously had the points deduction through going into administration or whatever that was. And they come fighting back. I think they've got a really good manager. John did a fabulous job last season in terms of keeping them in the division. They signed some really good players in the summer. They've been competitive all season. They've had 2 wins on the bounce, and they'll want to make it 3 wins on the bounce. You know, from a tactical point of view, they give the ball up a little bit, but they're solid defensively, and they try and hit you on the counter, and they do it very, very effectively. So it's one that we have to overcome, but I like the place that we're in at the moment. John will like the place that they're in the moment, with 2 wins and the points total they've got at the start of the season. And we're trying to improve our points total, but it should be a good game. I think it'd be quite cagey at times. We're going to have to be patient at times. We're going to have to take our chances, but we're creating chances. I really like the way that we attacked in both halves at Preston. Whether we were going for it at the start, trying to get his noses in front and extend that lead, or even trying to get back into the game and play some decent stuff. And we're going to have to play well tomorrow. But it's always a big game against a big club.
So,
cheers, Andy.
Morning, Chris.
Morning.
Afternoon, Chris, sorry. Whatever it is. Obviously, one player in particular, looking forward to seeing tomorrow, perhaps in Rhian. Just give us an assessment of how you saw his United career as a whole, and will you be looking forward to seeing him again tomorrow?
Yeah, he's their player, so I've got a lot of time and respect for Rhian as a lad. I thought it was incredibly unlucky, unfortunate time here with the injuries they had. I've said enough about him.
Yeah.
He'll get the reception that he gets, whether it's mixed, whether it's incredibly positive, whether it's negative. People have their own views on that. He gave me everything.
Yeah.
He wanted to play. He was great around the club. He was a good pro and a good personality, and a good player if kept fit, and that was obviously always the challenge, not just for us but for him.
I guess, like you've said before, when players come back to Bramall Lane, there's all the applause, whatever reception, whatever he gets. But come 3 o'clock, it's game on. He's an opposition player, isn't it?
Yeah, 100% stops. Yeah.
I guess something we talked about with him as well. When you go through injuries that Tom's had in his career, when they do come back on the grass, how much of it is a sort of mental challenge more than anything to sort of learn to trust your body again? Is that too simplistic to say, or is that?
I think it is simplistic. They work hard to get themselves in a position. They go through the process of getting themselves out the treatment room to back into the gym, to back working hard with rehab and pre-training to integrate themselves back into the group. I've been consistent with it all the time regarding players injuries, and they don't want to be injured, and it's not a great place to be, obviously physically, but more importantly mentally, and seeing their teammates out there running about and doing what they do, which is playing football on a Monday to Friday and preparing for a game on a Saturday. So a lot of hard work goes into it, and then you need a little bit of luck with it.
It's actually about Blaster as well. Obviously, he's had nearly a year out now, isn't it? And he's come back today, as you say, on the grass. How big a step is that for him, sort of personally, as well as in terms of the football? Because it's a big old chunk of time out.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the work that he's done today is not going to be earth-shatteringly different to what he's been doing over the last 2 or 3 weeks, but just to get him back in with the first team players, whatever he's been doing, as you've seen, and no doubt it'll be filmed by our guys from a media point of view and be out there for everybody to see, which is great news. But still, now we have to plot that path very carefully with him as well, and making sure the timing of this is right. There's not going to be any long-standing issues with him. ACLs are ACLs, not ACLs from 20-30 years ago. Yeah. Shearer had one when he was 19, went and played 500 games and smashed all sorts of records, and so you need a bit of luck, of course, in the early part, and we need to give him time and space as well to recapture the form and the promise that he showed everybody previously here at the club.
Yeah, I know it's difficult to try and take positives from a year out of the game at his age, but you think he might come back physically stronger but also mentally stronger as well for the...
Well, it's everything's a test. He wouldn't have liked to have gone through it. He's a mentally tough boy. They all are in our academy. They get tested on every front. So to step up into the first team to do what he's done, whether it's Siddy, whether it's Blaster, mentally they're tough boys. It's a culture that we encourage because you have to deal with disappointment, and how you deal with this disappointment is key during a game, through a season, through seasons, through whatever it is, whether it's an injury or loss of form or coming out of the team or whatever it is. So they're tough boys, and he's a tough boy, so he'll be okay.
Cheers, Chris.
Cheers, Dan.
Hiya, Chris.
Hi.
Just wanted to ask about Callum O'Hare. He's got half of the goals and assists than what he got last season already. What work has gone into him to make sure he's adding those goals and assists to his game this year?
No, I think that maybe when the time's right for the senior players to step up to the plate, he has done, and took that responsibility as a senior player, took that on his shoulders and led from the front. So maybe not physically in terms of battering people about all over the place, but in terms of his effort, his work rate, and he's showing. We've been on to Cal about the final bit, because he gets into great positions. Out of possession, he's a fabulous player to work for, does a great job for the team. And in possession, I think we've all seen, we get a little bit frustrated as well, because he gets into some fabulous positions, and then we're looking for that final pass or finish, and the end product is the biggest thing for forward. So he's bringing that all together, and he's a big player for us.